Alright, what we're gonna do today, the stuff that we're gonna, deal with today, dealing with a lot of it, adding and subtracting with decimals, along with the multiplying that we've been doing. 139, questions on the homework, go ahead. Okay. 12, problem 12, you guys make me do this challenge, problem two. Mary Jo Holt, oh, we probably will have a test next week, if I remember how to make it up. I don't remember, I got to looking at it this morning and couldn't figure out how I made up the first test. I thought I had a test maker for this class, but I couldn't find it. The first test, most definitely I didn't type the first test, right? It looked like a printed off test. So it's gotta be there somewhere. I just gotta find it. Mary Jo Holt has medical and dental and vision insurance coverage through her employer, a newspaper. Annual coverage costs are medical $6,478.16, dental $598, vision $254.24. The newspaper pays 60% of the medical, 55% of the dental, 50% of the vision. What total amount does she have deducted weekly from her check for these coverages? So, let's see here. Somebody help me out so I don't have to keep trying to look at the book. We got medical, dental, and what else?
Vision.
Vision. Is that the only three?
Yes.
What percent, or I'm sorry, what total amount did they say was medical?
Yeah, 60%.
No, what,
The total amount.
took the money?
$6,478.16.
$6,478.16. Now, what percent was the medical? What percent does she pay of the medical?
40%.
40%, because her job pays 60%?
Yes.
Dental, what was the total cost for dental for the annual plan? $198 even?
Yeah.
And they said that she pays what percentage of that? 50?
No, sorry. 45.
45? She pays 45?
Yeah.
So the company pays 55%?
Yeah.
Vision, what they say the total cost on that was?
$254.24.
And what percentage does she pay of that? 50%? So all we're gonna do here, we're gonna take each of these, multiply them, add those up, and that's all they want this time. Alright, so what do we gotta do to this percentage first?
Decimal.
Decimal. Change that to 0.40. Somebody multiply that for us. Tell us what her total medical cost is.
You have to change them all to decimal.
So I'm gonna change this one. I'll do that while we're waiting on somebody to multiply that. So what do you get?
2,599.26.
2,599.26. 91.26.
Yeah.
$2,591.26.
And then the next one is 269.1.
0.1.
Yes.
What do we make sure? I marked some of these wrong on, no, actually I didn't mark them wrong. I was going to mark them wrong on that last quiz, because if we're dealing with money, do we write it this way?
Zero.
You gotta put a 0 on there. If you're dealing with money, it's gotta have that 0 on there.
The last one is 127.12.
Then what are we gonna do with all three of those? Add them all up. What'd you come up with?
2,987.48.
go back and read the problem carefully. That's how much she pays. What? Explain that number to me. $29.87.48 annually. Annually, that's per year. What they ask us.
How much she's getting deducted weekly?
So weekly. So what we got to do with that number?
Divided by 52.
So somebody help us out and divide that by 52. Please make sure on the test, when we do take this test next week, read the questions carefully and know. What's that give us? 57.45. So she has about $57.45 deducted each week. So it's not much. Look at that. How much does this person have taken out each week for medical, dental, and vision? A lot more than $57.45.
Yeah.
Other questions?
18.
18. Problem 18. Wallace Rainwater earns $37,200 annually. He is married and claims 2 children as dependents. His state's tax rate is 4% of taxable income. What is the amount for state income tax if his exemptions are $4,000 for a married person and $2,000 for each dependent? How many dependents did it say he has? 2. So he gets $4,000 for him and his wife. He's got 2 dependents at $2,000 each. So that's another $4,000. So he's got $8,000 worth of exemptions. $8,000 worth of exemptions. What else did they tell us here? How much does he earn annually? 200. What are we going to do with that 8,000? Somebody help me out. What's 37,200 minus 8,000?
$29.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah. Or 29,800.
Oh my, 29,200.
200? So
Oh,
how much
you
are you
get
to say?
800.
That's 800.
Yeah, no, times 200.
So,
Alright.
remember that number is, you're going to need to know this for today, the stuff that we're going to do today. That's his taxable wages. Alright? That's the taxable wages. Speaking of this, they just come out with the new tax thing that they're trying to pass and stuff now. And on the new tax thing, I'll go back to this problem here in a minute. On the new tax reform system that they're trying to put in, instead of it being this way, now the exemptions, they're going to give an exemption of $12,000 for a single person and $24,000 for a married couple. So instead of just getting, if you're married, getting just $4,000 worth of exemption, now you're getting $24,000. So the federal government's saying, we're going to let you keep the first $24,000 before, if you're married, before we start taking anything out. But, you know, they made that a big deal, and it, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but does that mean that you're going to pay less taxes? Depends on what the rest of the plan says. All right, so, you know, if the rest of the plan says that you can't take out any taxes for your children, or you can't take out any exemptions for your children, then it might sort of even out anyway. So that's his taxable. What they say? What else did they say about this person?
His state tax is 4%.
4%. So we're going to change that to 0.04. That's a point, not a crazy.
So you multiply 29,000.
Multiply that. What do we come up with?
1,168.
1,168 even. So in state tax, he pays $1,168 annually, what they ask us to do? Did they ask us to figure out how much he has to pay annually, or each pay, or what? They just said find the annual difference. So that's our answer. Other questions? Linda West, a dental lab technician pays 3 times as much for dental insurance as she does for vision insurance, and 3 times as much for health insurance as she does for vision and dental combined. Linda's employer pays 40% of the cost of all 3. If the total annual premium for all 3 is $93.60, figure out her vision, dental, and health insurance. So this one, they wanted to see how smart you were. This one's a little tougher. So let's see this. A dental technician pays 3 times as much for dental as she does for vision. So 3 times the vision is going to equal the dental. I'm just writing this out in words so I can remember it. And then she pays 3 times the vision plus the dental for her medical. So something like that. 3 times the vision, whatever that number is, should give us the dental. The vision plus the dental times 3. That will give us how much she pays in medical. Then it says her total annual, let's see, total annual premium for all 3 is $9,360. And it says that her company pays what percent? What percent does her company pay?
40.
40?
Of all 3, yeah.
So then she pays what percent?
60.
So somebody multiply this for us so we can figure out how much of that $9,000 she pays.
No, I'm sorry.
5,616.
16?
Yeah.
So she pays that much. Now what we got to do is figure out how that's split up for these things. Anybody got any ideas? We know,
Divided by 3.
maybe, let's look at this. We know that vision plus dental plus medical equals that 5,616, right? Now divided by 3 is sort of a good guess, but when we look at this, you got to be a little careful, because when we look at this, we know that the vision and the dental,
Usually go together.
they sort of go together, right? 3 times that equals the medical. So is there any way we could sort of manipulate stuff around there and we could do this? How could, if we're doing algebra here, how could we get the vision and the dental by itself?
Add them together.
Take 3 and multiply it by the vision.
If we're multiplying by 3, how do we get rid of that 3?
You divide by 3.
Divide by 3. If I divide those 2, now we got vision and dental equals medical what?
Divide by
So over here now, I could get rid of this vision and dental and put in medical divided by
3.
3. So medical divided by 3 plus medical should equal that 5,616. Now we only have one variable in there. If we change this to a variable, so we got m divided by 3 plus m equals 5,616. Is that something that we can solve? should be able to, alright? Let's change this and maybe it'll make it look a little more, well, actually, let's do this. How could we get rid of that 3 right there? If you're dividing by 3, you want to,
Divided by 3.
so we want to multiply, and we want to multiply everything by 3. 3 times this first term, what's going to happen with the 3's?
It's gonna
You just cancel out. 3 times that term, what's that going to give you?
3M.
3m. 3 times that's going to give us what? Try to calculate.
be 16,848.
Now we got m plus 3m equals that 16,848. What would you do with the m and the 3m? So what do you get?
4.
4m equals 16,848. How you gonna get m by itself?
Divided.
Divide by 4. Somebody help me out.
4,212.
4,212?
Yeah.
What's 4,212? What did we let the m stand for?
Medical.
The medical. That's the amount of the medical insurance that she pays. So her medical insurance, 4,212. Now let's go back up here. They said the vision plus the dental equals the medical, right? So we know the vision plus the dental, vision plus dental, let's see, not write it that way, let's just write V plus D equals 4,212, right? Those two add together should add up, or no, I'm sorry, it's 3 times that, isn't it? So 3 times the vision plus the dental should equal that. Well, what did we know about the vision and the dental? How could I get this vision by itself? Or let's not even do that. What do we know about the dental?
It
Equal
is.
to,
It's equal to 3 times.
so in place of D right here, instead of putting in dental, what could we put in?
3
3
times.
times the vision, right? Which is 3B. So I took out dental, because we know dental is the same as 3 times the vision. So I took out dental and stuck 3B in its place. Does that make sense? Now what's nice about this new equation? How many different variables in there?
There's only one.
There's only one. What's B plus 3B?
4B.
4B times 3, 12B.
And then you
How are we going to solve for the B then?
just divide
Somebody help me out and divide that by 12.
351.
3 what?
351.
51. So what's the vision? I'm sorry. What's 351? That's the vision care, right? Now the only thing we have left to do is find the dental. Well, we know 3 times the vision should equal the dental. Instead of vision right here, what number can you stick in there?
351.
351. Somebody multiplied 3 times 351. 1,053. Now we gotta be careful again. What did they ask us for on this one? Did they ask us to find out how much she pays annually, or did they say bi-weekly? What's bi-weekly mean again? Every 2 weeks, so how many pays?
26.
26. And they want the total? Is that what they want? How much taken out of her check bi-weekly? Do they want for each? They want them separately? Alright, so they want them separately. Alright, so if it's bi-weekly, we're going to take each one of these and divide it by what? 26. So divide each of those by 26. So 40 point what? So she, for dental, every 2 weeks, how much comes out of her check? $40.50. For medical,
162, yeah.
162
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
So for medical, every 2 weeks, $162 comes out of her check. And for vision, $13.50 each week, or every 2 weeks. wanted us to total them up, we could add those up and you get the total. Part B says, what's their total health insurance? Real quick, before we go on to the other stuff. Again, a couple of things about trying to listen, and normally I wouldn't, but this time I was actually trying to listen when the president was talking about the tax reform stuff because of this class. Again, single, they're giving you an exemption of $12,000 now. So if you don't make $12,000, more than $12,000 in a year, how much federal tax are you going to pay? None. All right? If you're single. Married, $24,000.
This is like a real thing.
Yep, this is what he was talking about it the other day, a couple days ago. As a matter of fact, I think it was Wednesday when all you guys were on the field trip. On my way home, he had a big press conference.
We got the GDP of like, I think it's like 320,
Something.
3.5 or something.
Yeah. So single, married, and then what he was doing right now, you remember when I talked a little about tax brackets and how, you know, like with the states, some people pay 3%, some people pay 5%, some people might pay 6, different tax brackets. He's splitting it into just, in the federal government tax plan, there used to be 7 brackets. He's splitting it into just 3 brackets now. So a lot of people in this area will probably pay the lower bracket, and that you pay 12%. Second bracket was, I want to say it was 25%. And then the third bracket, 35%. Now I never did hear where the breaks are in the brackets. You know, it's going to be something like if you earn $60,000 or less, then you pay 12% after your exemption. And here it's going to be something like, you know, $130,000 down to $60,000.
Yes, the pendants too, huh?
Yeah. And he made sure he mentioned that during his speech that the people he was helping out here were these people when he falls in this bracket, and he said, and this isn't helping me. But there'll be other things I'm sure that's in the plan that will help him. So
Like little stuff.
right, so there'll be something where
That's
you know,
a big deal for them. They're,
and then this would be $130,000 and up. So splitting it up, and I don't know what the breaks are. It might be completely different. It might be $300,000 on that middle break, and it might be $150,000 on that lower. I have no clue, because that part they never really said, and I couldn't find it on the computer anywhere. But 3 brackets now, so splitting it up into 3 brackets. He said it's going to help the middle and low income. Some other reports that I heard after his speech was, and again, you know, if somebody doesn't like the president, they're going to try to find some way to say that, no, this is terrible. Because he was saying that this is going to give breaks to small businesses and middle and lower class people. That's where all the breaks were, most of the breaks were going to come in. Well, then I heard a report that this new tax plan is going to give more breaks to all the big businesses and the upper class people, which I don't understand how the two things could be completely opposites and both of them be true. But so he was saying, you know, he falls in this range, one of the higher paid people in the country. He falls in that range, and it wasn't going to help him out any. But then the other reports I heard said it's going to help him out a bunch. So I don't.
guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Does anybody have the other paper that I gave you? Not this one, the one from previous. What's the medical on that one say?
100, the medical,
Yeah.
$115.04.
what?
34.
34. What's the dental say?
$2.06.
$2.06. And
You don't have vision unless it's something else.
trying to think, I think there is vision on here, I'm not sure.
Maybe like
It might be
the
added into, it might be added into one of the other ones. I'm not sure what that CAN and ACC
It
is.
looks like it would be enough for our vision.
See, I'm thinking that's way too much for a vision plan. Yeah, $30. That's an awful lot. Let's just go with those two. Now, if we look at the new, this one, what's the medical say?
170, 55.
55?
Yeah.
What's the dental say?
$2.06.
So notice, dental stayed the same, right? What happened with the medical here? We said this check stub is a bi-monthly. Bi-monthly means how many pays? 2 per month, so annually how many pays? 24, right? 26 is bi-weekly, 24 is bi-monthly. So this is bi-monthly. Let's look at this real quick. Somebody help me out and take 24 times the 115.34. You hear any of the teachers complaining here at the school? This might be part of the reason why, or if they're not in a good mood. This was our old medical plan. Our old medical plan, we paid for a family setup. We paid $2,768.16 per year. Over here, somebody multiply that number 170 times 24. $170.55 times 24.
4,092. 22.
120. That's what the medical for a family plan cost us now here at school.
Why?
Just because of the way the medical insurance is now in the country. So,
Does every school pay that?
it depends. It depends on what kind of plan you can get through that certain insurance company. You know, if you get in to a plan where it's just like insurance, like car insurance. If you guys pay your car insurance, what do you notice about your car insurance?
It's never the same.
Yeah, maybe. Compared to your parents' car insurance,
It's more expensive.
more expensive.
Because they're teenagers.
All right, because it's more likely that you're going to have an accident than a 35-year-old person. Even though I don't know that I always agree with that, but it's more expensive. Same thing here. If you can get into a medical plan where you're in a group that has fewer medical expenses, then your medical plan could be lower. But if you get into a plan where your group has a bunch of sick people in it, then you're going to pay higher premiums. Right? And that's the way a lot of this is going to. And that's what happened is here at school, we were in a what's called like a conglomerate, which means a whole bunch of different people put together, and they were all on one medical plan. Well, that dissolved, it fell apart. Because and it was a bunch of schools. It fell apart because a couple of the schools had
some people who were using up a whole bunch of medical insurance, like millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. So those schools, which were one of, that were using up all that money, when it broke apart,
Like for hospitals and stuff, I don't even remember the last time I went to a hospital for myself.
so when we all broke apart, when those schools all broke apart, if it was a school that didn't have those people in it, then they got into a new, maybe better conglomerate where there wasn't a whole bunch of sick people, and so theirs went down. Ours, because we have a bunch of sick people,
So basically they're taking advantage of it.
well, we really can't complain, even though I don't use any of the medical stuff and I have to pay for a lot of it because I don't ever go to the doctor, I don't go to the hospital, But since our school, if I wanted, somehow I could break off and just find my own thing and go that route.
Maybe it'd be cheaper though.
It might be. At this, when we were here, no way I could find something for a year plan that was gonna be cheaper than that. If it goes up much more than this,
It's expensive.
then I'm probably gonna start
Does
looking.
it go up like a few cents every year or?
It depends on what happens. So if those people that we have that are, using up all the money, if that keeps growing, then yeah, it'll continue to
It's just
go
too
up.
expensive, like, with that, you could buy a new car.
But, it's something you have to, you can't just not have it,
So
cause,
you don't have to have it through the school.
not necessarily. You could have it through, whatever. As a matter of fact, and I don't think it's called the same thing. It used to be called Cobra. Cobra is like a private medical plan that if you're just, like, let's say you own your own business and you want medical insurance for just yourself and your family, then you get what's called a Cobra plan. Right, what we're gonna cover today. My board ever does what I want it to do. This section sort of covers everything that we covered this chapter. Real short assignment.
Swim by kind of fast.
Could probably get this assignment done if we hurry up and get through this, because I think the assignment's like 9 problems or something.
That'd be nice. I work a double on Sunday till 10 o'clock at night.
That sucks. How long's your break? You want money?
I work 10:30 to 4, and then I'm from 4 to 4:30. I'm like on break, and then
I work 8-hour shifts, but we get a 15-minute break.
For real?
Yeah. From 18, I used to get 35. Now 18, I only get 15.
Yeah.
I don't get a break.
Now I get paid for my break now, but still anytime you do nothing.
But what's dumb is like
You don't,
If you're minor, you clock out for your break. But now you just clock out 15 minutes.
they told us at orientation, if you have to go on a smoke break, clock out for 10 minutes and just sit in your car and go smoke.
I wouldn't clock out.
You don't get a break?
No.
I don't get a break.
Like if it's like a double.
Well, you probably don't work enough
But
hours, do you?
I work 5 to 10 or 4 to 10, and I don't get a break. But it's like
4 to 10, 6 hours.
Indiana, you have to work 7 over 7 hours.
That's what I was gonna say, because they have, for an 8-hour shift, they have to give you a 15-minute break somewhere.
When at the Blue Beacon
Federal law.
over like, I want to say 5 hours, I think it was, we got like a 30-minute break. But that's considered like a week period and all that.
Well,
Every place is a little different.
yeah, it depends on the company, but they give you a break when
When it gets slow and stuff, yeah. They say your break's at like 2:30 and it ends up being like 7 or 8 o'clock.
Heck, I went on break yesterday at 8 o'clock, and that's like an hour before I went on. I
That's the best part though.
Yeah, then you
I'd
get
rather
back
take
really anytime. Like,
Yeah, I'd rather just take my break like an hour before I left and just sit there for 30 minutes, not do much.
I had an argument with, I worked at a convenience store for a long time, and it didn't bother me, but you know, they made it at at the ones I worked at, if I was in there, they always just had one person in there. So there wasn't any breaks. You didn't get a break. You worked your 8-hour shift and, you know, you were stuck.
You snack on the job somewhere.
Yeah, you know, so that's what they said. Well, you get to take a break when you're not busy.
Yeah.
When there's not people in here. When there's not
always people in there.
And I said, no, that's not what the federal government. And I finally told the woman, because she was one of those bossy women that thought she knew everything. I said, no, that's not what the federal government says. I said,
You get soon.
yeah, I said, you need to have somebody else in here working every now and then when I'm in here so I can take my break. And we don't have to give you a break. That's what it, and she was getting all huffy puffy, and I was just messing with her because I'd worked there for 10 years already and never complained about a break. But it just annoyed me that she thought she knew everything. Everybody else was wrong. So I fought with her for a while. And about 3 or 4 days later, she calls me back and said, you know, we're sorry, but if you need to, we'll send somebody in there so that you can take a break. And I said, I'm not worried about taking a break. I just want you not to be a jerk about it.
Was she a jerk to you after that?
She tried to stay away from me. She probably would have fired. I mean, she was the kind of woman. She probably would have fired me right there, except for the fact that her daughter was the manager of that convenience store. The woman was like the big area manager, and her daughter was the manager of that certain store. And when I was in there working, I did about 90% of her daughter's job, so her daughter didn't have near as much to do. So her daughter, I'm sure she would have fired me, but her daughter said, so, you should be firing Jack. That don't make it so I have to do a whole lot more work.
I'm already about to quit.
Oh my god, I knew you were gonna say that. I knew that was coming sometime.
No, he just applied for another job. So
I already got another job. I'm working.
You wanted two
I-
jobs.
I know, but
Didn't you just get this one? Have you even worked yet?
yeah, I've already worked a week.
I wouldn't quit.
I'm gonna wait
because
like a month before I do.
Journeys is only a seasonal job.
I know.
After Christmas, you're done.
Well, I'm gonna wait
They
until
could
next
keep
week. I'll be
you
able to
working
next
for
week, so I can basically just find something.
I feel bad for like.
I'm getting
I have to
season
say
job
my
at Dick's.
Really?
They said if I'm a good worker,
Yeah, and I know the manager and stuff at Journey, so no doubt I won't be able to say.
Well, Reno was a really good.
And the manager knows you,
Yeah.
and they're hiring you anyway?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we were clear on
They get a break.
They get a break.
I don't get a break.
Gross pay, when we talked about gross pay, on that sheet that I just passed out, again, looking at this, you got gross pay on here, and then you have net pay. What we're going to deal with today is net pay, finding net pays, find the net paid amount. On here, this one actually has gross amount, adjusted gross amount, and then gross year-to-date amount. I don't know, is there a net pay on here anywhere?
I'm hungry.
Doesn't really say a net pay anywhere, does it? Must have cut it off when I ran it off. So the gross amount, I think this up here is the net pay. Even though it doesn't say it. It should say it up there somewhere. Seems like that might be it. The gross amount is how much this person actually makes total. The gross adjusted or adjusted gross is how much they make after they take out stuff like medical insurance or annuities or anything that the government will allow them to take out before they take out taxes. All right? So that's what an adjusted gross is. And then after that should be your net pay, what you actually get to take home, cash the check and put in the bank or whatever you do with. Money that you could actually touch is your net pay. So it's whatever you have left after your employer subtracts all of the tax withholdings, personal deductions, medical insurance, all that stuff. Federal, local, state, school taxes, maybe city tax, depending on where you live at. Some cities charge the tax. Trying to think what else they could be taking out. Retirement funds. I mean, you see on this one, there's, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 10 deductions on this one. The ones that have an asterisk beside them, notice on this one, they don't take out Medicare twice. Remember what did we say about Medicare? If the employee pays $31 for Medicare, then the employer also pays $31. So they show things there. And if you look at the same thing for the retirement, and this one, the employer also pays some of the medical, but they don't show it on there. So the formula, net pay equals the gross pay minus your total deductions. Your total deductions, you're going to have to figure those out. And that's why this assignment's sort of short, because how many deductions are there on each check? A whole bunch. So you're going to have to figure out all those deductions, then add them all up and subtract them from your gross pay to get your take-home pay. This might be called take-home pay. Get your take-home pay or your net pay. Assignment page 143, 1 through 8, and problem 10. 1 through